your story matters because we're live. What's going on, Jennifer
Good
Lacey?
morning. How are you, Jesse?
I just overcame a major crisis this morning.
What happened?
I ran out of coffee.
That was very important for us to get to do the live stream.
I went to my coffee. I was like, oh my God, no coffee. So I shot over to the gas station, got me some coffee, and we're ready to go. How about you?
I'm good. It's been a week, but it's over, and I'm good to go. Had black coffee this morning. I'm trying something new, and I'm struggling, but we're gonna get through it.
I love it. I love it. I wonder if anyone is out there in the Omniverse. Good morning to you.
Yes.
If you're out there in the Omniverse, let us know how you're doing, where you're coming in from, so we can show you some love. It's been 2 weeks, and we have a little bit of an announcement, maybe 2 announcements.
Good. I'm excited. I probably know about them, but I'm excited about what we have coming up.
Well, we had our jumpers, our monthly emotional bungee jumper session yesterday, which was awesome, and it reminded me that, oh wait, there's another announcement. So I'm excited about that. Let's see, are we live? We are live. All right, we got some people out there. So again, if you're out there, let us know you're there so we can show you some love, because if you don't make a comment, we don't know you there, but that don't mean we don't care. We still care.
Absolutely.
And then, the standard rule applies. Jen, you want to let them know?
Yes. So if you're out there and you're watching, and this is the first time you've ever been watching this live stream, or even you maybe have been watching it from the background, but you haven't really typed your name and said hello, what we would like you to do, it's a small step. You don't have to make big leaps off the cliff, but if you will, in the comments, just put a blue heart. And those of you that don't know how to do the blue heart, you can right click, and then there gives you an emojis option, and then you go in there and you're able to put in some emojis. And so if you give us a blue heart, it helps for a couple of reasons. One, it lets us welcome you because we are excited when people engage with what we talk about. But two, it lets all of our tribe know that this is your first time kind of engaging, and then they will engage with you. And they will kind of connect with you and make sure that they're following your content and stuff like that. So for us, it's really cool to be able to get you connected and brought into the fold of our No BS tribe.
Yes, into the fold. I like that one. So we got some wackos out there. We got to hang out with Miss Sarah yesterday.
We did. We got to do her Boy Bass live stream yesterday morning, which was really cool.
Yeah. Did you have fun?
I did. It's words. And when we talk about language, like that's my happy place, is just words, what words mean in there. So if you don't, you did stream it to No BS. So if anyone wants to go later, go back and watch it. We got to talk and dig into kind of the meaning of words and what words get us tangled up and what words do we like and we lean into and stuff like that. So it was a really cool conversation.
It was awesome. Yeah, I had a good time. Sarah, thank you for letting us share the stage with you and Kate, because that was fun. And I know Kate is trying like hell to be here today on this call.
We may catch her on the back end.
We got Buddy saying, dang it. Good morning. What's up, Buddy? How you doing, my friend?
Good morning.
Oh, and then we got some new handsome devil saying good morning to everybody.
So glad he got up early enough to be here.
Yeah, just in time. And then Mr. Vince coming in from the Deuce Dime saying happy Fiesta. Yeah, this week is Fiesta. I think today is the Fiesta Flambeau Parade, and which is, super awesome.
Yes.
And I have actually, thank you, Vince, for reminding me, because I need to go get me some tripa tacos and a gordita, because that's kind of like the tradition for me during Fiesta. Maybe I'll run into Chewy out there.
Oh, gosh, more videos.
Then my brother, Mr. Nick Clemens, coming in from Illinois. How you doing, Nick?
Good morning.
Oh, Nick's awesome, man. He'll send me like little clips and stuff of things that he read that are thought provoking, and it's always good stuff. And look, Sarah says, "Ha ha ha! I'm trying."
Do you want to do the like maybe why some of the things come through and when some don't?
Oh yeah. Thank you for that reminder. So, folks, if you're on the LinkedIn, there's some funky stuff that happens. And I think it's a connection between LinkedIn and StreamYard. And so you might be commenting, but it's not coming through my feed on the StreamYard. So it might feel like we're ignoring you, but we're not. We just don't see the feed on this end. Kind of like Nick Clemens, he's coming across as LinkedIn user, but I can see him on my phone, like his name is there. And so there's some weird, wonky stuff. Anyways, the point of all that is there is high activity, high engagement on the LinkedIn in terms of chat and community comments and stuff, but we won't be able to see it. Now on YouTube, like Vince, right? For whatever reason, YouTube and StreamYard, they play really nice together, and we'll be able to see the comments come through. Not saying that you need to change, just want to be clear that we're not ignoring you. We love you, especially the lurkers. If you're a lurker kind of popping in and out, we love you too. But we're not ignoring you. And after the show, between today and tomorrow,
all the comments will come in.
Right. Then I'll get some time to go back in and interact with you and demonstrate or show some appreciation for you taking the time to make the comments. But the summary of that is, if
we're not ignoring you.
We're not ignoring you. We love you. We love you. Pinky promise, love you. So it's just a technical thing. So are we gonna what are we talking about today?
Let's see. So our topic today, which it's kind of a little bit of, people are like, what is this going to be about? Because you named it. What if you could name the rules, or if you got to write the rules, kind of thing. And so, okay, so where this started and we're hoping to dig into today is 2 weeks ago in the after party. We're having a great conversation. We had a lot of people join us. So Jesse's going to make sure those links get shared. So if you want to join in and get to kind of let us hear your voice, make sure you do that. But 2 weeks ago in the after party, we were digging into the kind of a follow-up conversation, and Sarah Ganella, kind of started going down and saying, hey, what if like you could write the rules? What if you could make, you could you're the CEO for the day, or you're the one that gets to say, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're not going to do. Like, what would you do? What would you do different? Those kind of things. And so we started digging into that in the after party. And then you and I were like, we got to make this bigger. We got to put this out there and really dig into like, what's happening out there that is working, what's happening out there that just because it's status quo, just because it's what we've always done, those type of things, it just keeps happening, that we need to be doing something different, or what are people out there doing that is different. And they may not be the CEO of a company. They may not be someone that can completely turn a ship, but all of us are in position sometimes to kind of make those little small changes. So is that right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I also want to touch on the point, like, the fact that we can make change regardless of whatever level we're at.
Yes.
That's not to say that it's easy. Right? Obviously, the more influence and responsibility within an organization, the less friction you'll experience in deploying the change. But waiting till you get there, until that time, it's never going to happen. Like, you can make change right now.
Yes.
And, I feel like and I don't know if it's just because I'm grouchy or what, but I feel like I see a lot of comments on LinkedIn about how managers and supervisors are like, they don't support us and they don't care, and the culture and wah, which I agree are all are true. Mm-hmm. But if all you're doing is complaining about it, you're not helping.
Yes. Yes.
And like, I'm probably going to sting some people, but if all you're doing is complaining about it, you're not helping. And so this idea is here, like, we titled it, How to Create Ideal Conditions for Your Team to Thrive, to get away from the blaming of what's wrong with the thing and get into what can we do? What are you doing? And so I want to have some of that challenging, provocative thought there, because I mean, really, it is for me, anyways. You know, this is the questions that I ask myself are what shape my path.
Right.
And so we have some questions here to help people really think about a little differently, right?
Mhm.
Like last time, I feel like we talked a lot about why we can't.
Mhm. Yep.
And this time I want to talk more about
What we can do.
what can you do, right?
Yes.
100%. So before we jump into it, we got to give a shout out to the chief marketeer,
Yes,
Steve
yes,
Martin,
yes.
coming in from the sunny Connecticut. And then Miss Leslie, how you
Good morning,
doing?
Leslie.
She's so awesome. And then Mr. Christopher
Good
Moody.
Yes.
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 Amen. What do you think about that? We're all change makers, Jen.
Yes. Yes. We have the ability to do that every single day.
100%. Now I did pick why do you take a guess at why I picked the Monopoly board for the thumbnail for this thing?
For the rules?
Yeah.
Because well, I'm going to tell from my experience because I have family members and we have, we play Monopoly. And I'm not sure, I don't know, because I don't know what everybody else does, but I think every family has their own Monopoly rules. Like I know for us, like growing up, and we played it with my dad, my brothers and I played it with my dad growing up, and my dad like passed out the cards, and then you got to do all this bartering and stuff like that. And so we got to we kind of had our own thing. And then my brother plays it with his kids and stuff like that. And so like everybody kind of has their own little what's worked over time and how we've adjusted it. And I mean, I've done it. Monopoly's what you use, but we've done it with dominoes. We've done it with blackjack. Like we've kind of made our own little. This is what works for us, and this is where we thrive. And so when I saw the Monopoly board, I was like, oh, it's exactly what it is because it's not the same exact rules for every single person.
100%. You nailed it.
We didn't even talk about it, and that's exactly what I thought when I saw it.
Yeah, that's why I picked it because, and so maybe folks out there in the Omniverse. Do you create your own custom rules for Monopoly or other popular games out there that there's already an established set of rules for that you deviate from for whatever reason? Like, we're not going to judge the reason. The question is, do you do that? And for me, the reason, as I was sitting there, in my artistic, creative state, Zen state, I'm like, okay, what image? And then I'm just clicking around, brainstorming. I was like, oh, freaking Monopoly, because same thing, right? Like I remember the way we played Monopoly at the house with my mom and my brother. And then I go hang out with my friends and they want to play Monopoly and they play by different. I'm like, those aren't the rules. And they're like, well, how do you play it this way? Well, those aren't the rules. And it's like, huh. So we can play like some people. And I'm going to go back to Mr. Christopher Moody's comment. We are all change makers. Mm-hmm. There are established rules. In some cases, we're completely comfortable with changing the rules and writing our own rules. And in other cases, we feel like we can't. And I am proposing that we can all the time.
Yes.
Now, in real life and in the professional space, there are greater risks to changing the rules.
Yeah.
There's friction, endurance, energy, sacrifice required to play by different rules.
Yes.
But it can still be done. What do you think?
Yes. No, 100%. I think the word you use, risk. Like we have people, I know we've around people very risk averse, but we also know there's people that, okay, let's experiment and see what happens here. And we, like you said, we do it in our personal space as we're, parenting and doing other things. But I think we get in and we somehow feel the rigidity. Now, again, we work in construction. There's some things that are rigid for a reason.
Yeah.
There's things that are put in place for a reason. And that part, we're not saying that this policy or this, water intrusion log, like those are things that we've got to make sure we're doing. But we also know that because they worked and because they, this is something that has been put in place, that doesn't mean that, okay, this is great, but hey, have we thought about this? Or hey, can we improve this? Like there's ways that we can look at anything and go, okay, this is status quo. This is what we've done. That doesn't mean it will always be what everyone needs to do without any variation.
100%. Oh, look, Maya brings a beautiful example. Uno has various approaches. Right. And now I'm going to argue just to be silly. Like, no, it doesn't. There are established rules.
There
You
are.
read them by the rules, but you don't have to. And so I want to go to the point that you made, Jen, about like there are some things that there's hard and fast rules that when we violate them, people will get hurt, the client will be dissatisfied, right? Like
safety is a good one, right?
Safety is a perfect one. Yeah. Like maybe there's some things that don't make a lot of sense, but there's a reason for them. And if there's a better situation that's going to require like really difficult effort to vet out the new way or the different way to prove that it at least at minimum produces the same outcomes or improved outcomes, right? So that's a thing. But here's what I want us to think about, like all the folks out there in the Omniverse, is we're talking about how we're going to change the rules. Like if you were king for a day or queen or monarch, whatever, be sensitive. What rule, like the things that we can change, period. And if you think I'm full of it, let me know I'm full of it. Folks out there in the chat, right? Is the things that we absolutely can change are the conditions that people are exposed to in terms of our interdepartmental, interrelational experiences, the way we communicate, the way we hold each other accountable. I'm joking. I had to throw that in there. But the way we treat each other and the way we support and invest in one another, that can absolutely change. That is my position. What do you think?
Well, and we talk about this a lot, Jesse, you and I, but it's one, how we're showing up. I think it starts with that. How do we show up in the spaces that we work and that we engage with? And then also like what those expectations, what is our expectation that they're going to check the boxes and they're going to say, I've done it, and then they're going to move on. If that's the expectation, then you are not creating an environment for any kind of change or anything that could challenge what's there. Or are you creating the environment that fosters or cultivates kind of like that, some of that continuous improvement, or you're asking questions? For us, it's questions. I know that we always go back to are you creating an environment where you are asking questions to see what are some other ways that we can do this, or how can we make it better? Or are you creating an environment to go, this is how you do it? And I think it's a tiny thing, but those words matter, and how you articulate those in a space like that. I think that's where you can see where people will share, or people will, give you something that maybe they wouldn't normally do because the environment's not right.
Yes, 100%. So Sarah says, funny, with our neighbor, we even say we're at their house. So reminder, these are their rules, which I think is appropriate. Right. And it's like tying back into the conversation we had with the boy bass yesterday, bring out your badass self. I was talking a lot. I gave a lot of insight into how twisted my thinking is about certain things. That's not saying you need to play by my rules. That's just letting you know what the rules are in Jesse land. You get to have your own rules. You get to have your own understanding of things. We get to have that.
Yep.
But me making you change your definitions, or you making me change my I'll just tell you that's not going to happen. Coming to an agreement on what we will define something together going forward, that's a different thing.
Yes.
Right. And so I guess to summarize that is, I'm not dictating that you have to play by my rules. What I'm saying is that if we're going to play together, we need to be flexible to come up with something that is a mutually beneficial experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I have an example specifically to you and I, and how in our rules and how our brain works and how we had to figure it out is copy editing. And again, I know how I feel about editing and spell check and how things work when it comes to words and writing and publishing books. And I have become aware of how you feel about the importance of hitting deadlines and making sure we're hitting milestones and making sure we can push the button so that books get published. We are not on the same page, Jesse. Can you talk through that a little bit?
Yes. So I will, and I want to post this question to the Omniverse out there. Like, if you could change one thing within like your business environment, your team environment, project, office, whatever is relevant to you, if you could change one thing about that, what would it be? Let us know in the comments.
Yes.
Now, so the thing you just described, right, is I am much more concerned about, rather, let me rephrase that. I value delivering on time way more than I value punctuation and grammar.
Correct.
And because, and maybe a little more background on that, like we were writing the book and we had this thing, editing, polishing. If it communicates the idea, I'm good, because that's my mission.
Mm-hmm.
If it communicates the idea and if it's misspelled, I don't care. If it communicates the idea and the grammar is wonky, I don't care, because it communicates the damn idea. Will I sacrifice, the proper compliance with whatever grammar rules there are? Hell yes, because we need to get this thing out there, because from my perspective, these ideas are going to help people. The spelling is not going to help them, right? And so what was also happening is you are an expert in that field and you have a different appreciation for it. And taking any time, tell me what needs to be changed and we'll just change the thing, right? Yeah. I didn't need to be taught. I don't want to learn it. I didn't learn it in school. I'm not going to learn it now. And so it really was let's get this thing out. And I know that editing doesn't take that long,
right.
But we can let it take that long, because you can polish it a million different times. And so what did I do? I hit the button because it was good enough. It was good enough, and then that accelerated the final edit, and then we got the thing out. So we have the plumber's edition of Lean in Love, and then we have the English teacher's edition. Is that an alignment with what you remember?
Yes, it is. And I think it wasn't that I needed to convince you that this was important. And it wasn't that you needed to convince me that it wasn't important. I think us working on it together, like you respected where I was coming from, I was respecting where you were coming from, and then we needed to figure out how we were going to bring these two minds together to be able to get it across the finish line. And I didn't try to push you. You didn't try to push me. You let me make the decisions, and then we went, and I let you have your plumber's edition, and I said, that'll be probably worth more money than the book itself.
Yeah, no, good point, because it was that. Like, it was an irritating experience for me. It really challenged my patience, but we were able to stay amicable, right? And supportive and trusting of each other, because you weren't forcing me to change my thing.
Right.
And vice versa. I wasn't trying to tell you like, no more edits. I'm like, keep editing, and we're publishing.
Yes.
Oh man. All right. So we got some awesome comments in here. I'm going to start with Mr. Christopher. Christopher says, it's a resource recommendation.
Yes,
The Advantage by Lencioni. Good play. Have you read that one?
Yes, I have. It is very good.
What's it about? The Advantage? Duh.
No, it's just like your mentality and how you approach it, and how you're like different people, different levels where you are, and that you can impact change at any level. And that, I mean, it's that you're not, I guess, I'm trying to think the right word. You're not closed, where you can't just do it. You're not ever in a place where you just have to follow and you can't impact something. You can't influence. You can't, you can't do something like it. It kind of shows in different levels of an organization, even how you can still impact change.
Awesome. And he went on. Thank you, Chris. Provides a practical framework for leaders to improve the health of their organizations. The only thing I'm going to challenge there is the 4 leaders part, right? And here's why, because I think when we hear leader, we think of the manager or the
Yes.
supervisor, right?
Yep.
And I think I know that we can affect change regardless
100%.
of what level we're at. And I will never back off of that. Sarah says, ooh, she would create the conditions to allow more time for creativity, brainstorming, and downtime. What do you think, Jen?
Well, that's you and I know that the times that we are able to just brainstorm and throw every possible idea out there, whether it's me talking to you or you talking to me, we're just feeding off each other. And then our energies go and we start, what about this? What about this? And things come out of that were never there in the first place. And so creating spaces for people to just be able to, it doesn't have to be right or wrong. It doesn't have to be that we're going to implement this and it's going to cost this much money, but just creating spaces where those conversations can happen. I don't think we lean into that enough. And I think that things that are not even out there that could be out there, if we just created a space for people just to connect and start sharing things.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I want to give a little more context to that.
Okay.
People can put their hands around it, right? Like, yeah, creating the conditions, creating the space, like, okay, what the hell does that mean? I never believed this, right? I never believed that like creativity and brainstorming and downtime were a valuable thing.
Okay.
I was like, what? Like, we got work to do, man.
Right.
But since I started my business, one of the first targets I had was to take better care of myself. Mm-hmm. So I made a commitment out loud to have 3 days of rest, reflect, and recover time. Mm-hmm. And I made a commitment that I had already been working on the habit or the skill to spend an hour thinking every day. Now, what that has provided is this, right? The creativity, brainstorming, because of the downtime.
The conditions that you've created. Yeah.
Yes. And so that's the thing, is I designed my life. I had to sacrifice some things and let go of some identity things that I had with me, because I'm a hard worker, right? I could put hours in to like not be doing something and really just spend time thinking. So I had to say no to things, right? And so it, like, for me to do that with myself was the hardest thing in the world, because there ain't nobody here to check my timesheet, right? Mm-hmm. It's just me. And so for folks out there, if you're wondering, like, well, how in the hell do you do that? Like, that kind of leads to the next question, right? Is where does change happen?
Yes.
So we'll come back to that question here, but I want to poke at people to see where their thoughts are, because we have some other comments here.
Hey.
Miss Vicki Allen, good
morning. Good morning, Vicki. How are you?
Oh, man. She says this is a great topic because it's about honoring people for who they are and how they work while nurturing an environment of innovation.
Ooh, that word.
Yeah. I have this with that one too. But again, the question, I'm going to keep being a pain in the butt with folks. How? Right? Like, I think everybody will agree honoring people for who they are and how they work is a valuable thing. How do you do it? How would you do it?
Yeah. What does it look like?
What does it look like? Yeah. And like, for real, if you're willing to share it in the comments, I think everybody, the No BS tribe, is 100% like, they've got some good practices already. And they would be happy to learn some other great practices and some other cheat codes from you. So if you could articulate that would be severely appreciated.
Yes.
Then we got Miss Angel, the curious idealist. She says, I feel like you have to find the balance between quality and speed. If that book is someone's first opinion of you and the quality is too rough, you could lose credibility.
Thank you very much. I do.
So let's talk about that. I love it, because I don't think anything she has stated is false.
Correct.
And I also know I was absolutely not concerned about losing any credibility.
I would agree with that too.
right? Because okay, like you get to decide. You think I don't know how to spell, because guess what? I don't.
But you respected me because my name was on there too. And I think
Yes.
that digs more into what she's saying. Like, yes, Jesse, 100%, that's where you were. And because my name was on there too, you respected that some of these things were super important to me. And so there were some times where you're like, what about this? And I'm like, oh, I think that, and you respected that. And we were able to come to a place to where we were both good.
Yes, 100%. And then the second half of Angel's comment is, but if editing isn't your strength, you find someone who is strong in that area, set a number of edit rounds and a timeline, then stick to it so your editor doesn't get stuck in analysis paralysis. And
that is what we did.
That was the issue. It's like, okay, how many times are we going to polish this thing?
Yes.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, Angel. Like, yeah, like the quality speed thing. I don't see grammar as a quality issue. I see content as the quality issue. If the content sucks and it's water skiing and superficial crap, who cares if the spelling's good?
Buddy, you choose to do a book with an ex-English teacher. You have to understand. Yes, Jesse, I agree. And
yes, I love it. Oh my God, that was so many good memories. Oh, look, we got my buddy, Mr. Aaron Gibson says, whoop, whoop. Good morning, Jesse and Jan. And then, oh, look, Vicky came back with an answer. She says, giving this a voice in decision-making at the level they influence. Yes, right? Giving people a voice to share at the level they're at. Yes. So I'm going to come at you with the question, Jen.
Okay, do it.
Where does change happen?
This, for me, the answer to this question is with people. And I'm going to dig into it more, because what you mean with people is because we can put policies, procedures, we can put parameters, we can put guardrails, we can put a lot of things in place because of historical issues or whatever it is. But the people are the ones that are in the middle of all these things. And so for what I do and what I support, if I want there to be a different outcome, or I want a change to happen, I need to make the connection with the people that are doing it and the people that are in those spaces, so that it's not just, here's the new rule, go follow the rule. Here's the new policy, go follow the policy. And it's not even, and you and I talked about this a little bit, it's not even just here's why we do it. We do it because we want everyone to go home safe every day. That is absolutely true. But they're not going to wrap their brain around that unless we dig more into, tell me about your family. Tell me about the things that you have coming up. What are the things that you're doing? What trips do you have coming up? What are some health things that we maybe need to make sure we talk about? And then as we're digging in and we're getting these layers back, to where people can start putting like a personal connection to something, talking about a baby they have coming up, or some kids that are about to, start sports. Well, it would really suck if you couldn't go to that. It would really suck if your family is struggling because you're out on workman's comp because you got hurt. Then you talk about the importance of safety. Then all of a sudden their brain is going, if I fall off a ladder, if I make a bad choice, this is not just something that impacts me. It now impacts my livelihood. It impacts my family. It impacts my team. All of a sudden, the way you connected to them shows them how it impacts them, not just this is why it's important. And for me, that is the core of everything. If no matter what I'm trying to get across, how do I bridge that gap to make that personal connection?
Yeah, and I see it in like from an actionable, visible perspective. Like I get that, but when I want people to like comply and do the safety stuff, the change happens with me first.
Okay, absolutely, yes.
Right.
Yeah, you have to exhibit the behaviors you seek. Yes,
100%. Right. Yes. Like, yeah, like talking about all that stuff. Sure. Now, if I facilitate that conversation and then walk on the job without my safety glasses on and without my gloves or whatever the requirements are.
Yeah. 100%. You've lost, as Angel says, you've lost all credibility.
Right. Right.
Yes.
And so the change has to happen with me. For me, that's it. Where does the change happen? The change that I want to see in my environment, in my space, has to happen with me. And now, we'll say, for example, I got an example. I wanted to have a different relationship with my crew that I'm going golfing with tomorrow. So that's going to be awesome. This was way back in the day. And what we were working on performance reviews, and I was about to do their performance review. I think I've told this story before. And I was like, wait a minute, here I am, like, I'm going to review them. But what about me? And I also know that when more people know about what we're working on and have that agreement to help each other out, we get better faster. So I asked the guys, what do I need to improve on? And they said, listening. I'm like, y'all are stupid. I'm the best listener in the world. Anyways, the change that I had to make was I want us to support each other.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What I had to do first was invite them in. Our policy was like, you can't share. These are private, one-on-one. And I'm like, bullshit. I asked their permission. Mm-hmm. I had to be prepared for, reprimands or whatever from HR. And I was very clear, like, hey guys, here's what I'm thinking. I've done your reviews. We're going to spend the next year together. We can help each other get better way, way faster if we share our goals or our gaps, whatever they are. And they're like, yeah, they agreed. I said, okay, but I need y'all to give me some things that I need to work on. Like, what do you think I need to work on to better serve you? And they came up with that. And then we did the thing. But had I not changed my perspective of what that manager relationship was or should have been, that wouldn't have happened.
That makes complete sense. And
Right.
And you invited them in. So you allowed them to be able to, it's not just you going open up to share your feelings, tell us what's important. I'm going to, whatever, but it had to start with you. So I think that's the answer. And then all these other things can happen from you making that first step. To me, it goes down, and this is a simple phrase, and I use it all the time, and it scares the crap out of every person that works in construction. It is, you sometimes have to go slow to go fast. You have to slow down to be able to make progress. And nothing in construction logically makes sense when you say that. That you have to slow down to make progress.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like it's like, let's stop, let's reset, let's look at something that does have to take some time. And then we're going to be able to use this to project and, and go so much further because we stopped and had this conversation.
100%. And it's funny because when I we talk about the 8 wastes at different times, and when I talk about overproduction, people are like, "There's no such thing."
As we're having this conversation.
Right. Oh, look, we got a celebrity. Kate made it.
Yay! Good morning, Kate. Thank you for being here.
Oh my goodness, so awesome. And Milo agrees. Think slow, act fast. 100%. Like, pause, hit the brakes because there's value there. Yes. And Steve agrees, right? Steve says plan time for team reflection on how we hit or miss the target. Where does that happen in the moment? Right.
Ooh,
and now that's an extreme discipline there. What do you think?
Yes. Well, no, it goes into, and I was telling you beforehand. So we had one of our groups inside our company had all of our pre-construction people come to one place and kind of did a little summit. And one question, which was the most magical piece, like 75 people there. And they had every one of them, they asked, if you could change one thing based on what's in the company, what would it be? And every person, 75 people, got to stand up and share that with the group, which was magical. But the things that came out of it was, we need to do better at cross collaboration across our divisions. We need to do better at sharing our lessons learned and our best practices. Things like, we need to do better at retrospectives, not just doing them, but then how are we using that data to be able to then help other other projects that are coming up and stuff like that, which goes back to in the moment, what are we doing that is going to help us go later? It does take some time, Jesse, just like you said, it takes some time. But if you have it in your process, you have it in your, hey, this is our cycle and this is what we're going to do and this is how we do it, then it becomes part of that, part of the process instead of just we have to stop to go.
Yes. Like building in that cadence of pumping the brakes is powerful. It's difficult. Oh, Chris gives a beautiful breakdown here. Mr. Christopher Moody, he ain't playing. Change is hard for a lot of people, but it's something that happens in every organization. Yes. The levels of change, individual level, change starts with individuals within the company as they adapt their behaviors, attitudes, and skills to align with the new goals or processes. Team level, change occurs within teams as they collaborate, communicate, and adjust their workflows to accommodate new initiatives or strategies. Department level, change happens within departments as they realign. What do you think about that?
Well, I believe in all of those things. And I guess, like you said, it starts with us. And so if we see there's a need, your call to action, okay, that's great. We can say, oh, they won't let me do it. I don't have permission to do it. I can't get approval to do it. Like we've kind of been down that road. Okay, then what? And so we have a choice at that point. We can go, here's what I have the impact and influence to do, or I'm just going to sit and wait until it is given to me. And I believe based on our tribe and the conversations we've had in some of the after parties is we don't have a lot of people that are just going to sit back and wait. And so what are those things that we do? And personally for me, I'm in a position that I support our entire company. And so what can I do? What impact and influence can I do? And so for me, I get to be queen for a day, or I get to be the one in charge for a day, because every one of our new hires come through a class with me on cultural alignment. Mm-hmm. And that is what I lead. That's what I lead within my company. So for a day, every new hire gets to come into a room and I get to create the agenda and I get to talk through why it's important for our company that we focus on people and why we focus on the things that are important. And so the whole day I get to lay it out. And so, and I think for me, it goes back to the go, you have to slow down to go fast. This is across our company, every superintendent, every MEP manager, it doesn't matter the role. So somebody had to stop their work and they had to travel to a place to where we can have these conversations. So they had to kind of stop for a minute. Let's get aligned and make sure we're all on the same page. And then we get to talk through collaboration, continuous improvement, learning, leadership development. We get to go through exercises all day long that they get to take back to where they come to their departments and their jobs, and they get to then start implementing them. And like for me, that like it's the most magical place because I get to stop them and let them kind of focus on what's important, and then I get to give them tools to go back and actually implement. And they know it's important enough that the company brings them there and puts them in this space. Like there's a lot of things that not all of that. Most of it wasn't dictated. Most of it wasn't you have permission. It was what's important. Yeah. What can I put in place?
Yeah, you don't need permission. Do the damn thing. And I'm going to say this, like my mode of operation is do the damn thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
But I get in some hot water. Now, I'll also say throughout my career, people have commented on like, man, thank you for like taking the brunt of the pushback or the reaction, right? Because it was a deviation. And thank you for doing that. And I'm like, okay, you noticed. Thank you for that. Because in my head, it's like this experience that I'm having right now, I don't have the capacity to tolerate it for an extended period of time.
Right.
I am going to be miserable forever if I don't do anything about it. If I do something about it, I'm going to be miserable for a little bit of time. Right?
Yep.
And a decision has to be made.
I have another example, but I want us to there's some comments, and then I want to dig into another, what you just said, what I have permission to do, what I don't have permission to do, where I see there's a gap, and what am I willing to do about it? So I have another example when we get there. Yes.
Good. Don't lose that. I go at the conflict, not expecting a particular outcome. Mm-hmm. I go at the conflict to drive that thing, because I know based on their response, I have a decision to make.
Yes.
And if there's flexibility and openness, then I stay. If there's rigid and no change,
You're
then
out.
I leave. Like it's not that complicated.
You're not mad. Jesse. You're not mad or angry.
No.
You just get to make that choice.
Yes, yes. So, and take that for what it's, and I guess what I really want to communicate to people is like, I know it sounds easy, or maybe it may be distracting that I have the life that I live right now. And that's why I'm able to operate the way I operate. That's not true. Like, yes, it's way easier now that I'm my own damn boss. I functioned the same way when I had bosses, and it was hard. And I was okay with that because keeping my mouth shut was harder. So I want to go to the comments because thank you all. This is amazing. Yes. So Leslie says, oh, this is a good. So Leslie says, until someone experiences it, they won't understand slow down to go fast. Those words don't make sense. The reality is it works 100%. And then Angel says, on a side note, I love how y'all implement the comments and make people feel special just by joining and contributing their thoughts to the conversation. Thank you for that, Angel.
It is intentional.
To tie those, what's that?
It is intentional.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And so I want to tie those two together because demonstrating the behaviors, the behavior you want is what's happening. So thank you for that, yes. Angel. And like, I swear to God, I was at a meeting where the leader of the organization was talking about collaboration and open-mindedness and you know, all of the creativity and innovation. And what he wanted was this thing. And then he's like, and I want y'all to do okay, collaborate. You never showed us what it looked like, right? And my point is, if you're the leader, or maybe not just the influencer within your group, and you want the thing to change, you have to show that you're changing it. You have to help people, like Leslie said, you have to help them experience the value of the thing that you're doing. You have to create the situation so that they at least get an idea of what the thing looks like. Telling people to be collaborative and open and engaging has very little value if you don't show them what that looks like. What do you think, Jen?
Just the word that comes through is honesty, and I'm going to explain why. Is let's be honest. There's a lot of people in this tribe that are leaders, and if I am a leader and I come in and we are planning something, okay, and I have an agenda, and we're going to get together and we're going to brainstorm what this looks like, and I already know what it's going to be, then be honest. Be honest and say, this is what we have planned. Y'all are a part of it. Here's what I see. Here's what it's going to look like. And if you really want them to contribute, you want them to be a part, pick a piece of it and go, this part hasn't been dialed in. Let's focus on that. But don't come in and say, I need all of your input. I need all of your feedback because we're planning this together when you've already done it. Like, yes. Just again, it doesn't mean bad, good. It doesn't, nobody's wrong. But like, I think we try to create these collaborative spaces because we want people to feel important, but we don't give it to them. And so yes. Just be honest, this is what we're going to do. And because of my experience, because of all the things that I've done, this is what we're going to do based on feedback. But this piece, I'd really love for y'all to lean in and be able to help us make this be the best. That's okay. But just be honest.
100%. So a couple more comments, and I want to go back to the example that you had in your head.
Yes. Yes.
So Sarah says, Kate's a blue heart. If you can believe that, yes. Go out there, attack, swarm.
Yes. Attacker.
And Angel says, better together.
Yes.
Hashtag better together, 100%. And then my new BFF, Mr. O'Neill Ojeda. What's up, O'Neill? I got to meet him in person.
Yes. Good morning, yes. O'Neill. Thank you for being here.
And so talking about demonstrating the behaviors you seek, like I only spent a few minutes with him.
Do it. Tell him.
Feel like this dude don't play. Like he is an inspiring person. He really gives a damn. And because he shows that, mm-hmm. I got to see a whole group of construction workers out there that also, it looked like there's kind of layers, right? They hate each other. Like they didn't hate each other. That's good. Mm-hmm. Then they just kind of spend time in each other's space, that's a little bit better. Or they really have connection with one another. And I felt, just in the few minutes that I walked the job and interacted with different people, that there was a connection amongst the workforce throughout the different trades and stuff. And I'm going to say that a lot of that is because of Onel and the way he carries himself. So shout out to you, my man.
He didn't put a blue heart, but he's a blue heart. So make sure we connect with Onel.
All right, Jen. So what is your
my example?
Yep.
Yeah, my example of like having the authority and having the, if you have the authority to do something, or you have the autonomy to do it, or you don't. And it happened it actually is an example of the job site that Onel is on. So Josh Young is the senior superintendent. He's one of our tribe members. He jumps on every once in a while. So he is, building a very big project. And we have a lot of other superintendents in our company that are striving to be better, that are doing, really amazing, cool things. And so what he did is he's done this before, and this is his second kind of cohort. He's reached out to a handful of superintendents that are running work all over the country. So not just in his little geographic region, but people that are in different places running work, leading work, working with trades, working with, just a lot of different things. And monthly they meet, they get on a call. It's not structured. It's not mandated. It's not dictated. He didn't ask permission. And they all, these superintendents, some that are up and coming and some that have been in our industry a while, and they get to collaborate and talk about things they're running into, things that they experienced, things that hey, this is good. This is about to blow. I don't even know what to do with this. And then he has all these other people around him that can what about this and talk about this. And they're doing this over here. There's nobody going, regulations and what are the minutes and what are the follow-ups and they're doing this. All of us have the ability to do that.
Yes. Yes. Which kind of brings up the next question, right?
Okay.
And so this is for the Omniverse. What keeps you from making the changes you want to see? All right. And so as y'all are chewing on that, there's a few comments in here that actually I need help from the group on this one. So Aaron says, Jennifer, I would love to book you for Soul Man Live on May 24th. And so everybody out there in the Omniverse, let's help motivate Jen with the thumbs up or some high fives or claps or some kind of emoji in the comments to let her know that you want to see her on Soul Man Live with Aaron Gibson. You like that one, Jen?
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that.
And Miss Maya says, communication is the underlying factor for everything. Does a team feel comfortable articulating new ideas, questions, etc.? Communication presents the opportunity for growth and change. I just want to plug this in because I got to see it. Adam and I were on a thing with James Gable yesterday with what is it? Toastmasters. He had a Toastmasters district thing. And when we say communication, I want to challenge y'all out there to think about this. When you think of the word communication, use the word listening. Replace it with listening. And I bet it's going to cause you to say, oh, that's not exactly what I meant. Because when we generally think about communication, we think about delivering a message, right? Wah, 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 wah. And to accomplish what Maya just put in here, does a team feel comfortable articulating new ideas and questions? If you ain't listening, I know the answer. It's no.
Yeah.
Right? It is absolutely no.
I think that point, Jesse, that point's important because it's building on everything we've said. You've said exhibit the behavior. So the change starts with you. Then you're creating the environment. Okay. But those next things are not going to happen if you haven't started with yourself and you haven't started with the environment you're creating to then be able to encourage them to do the things that you're talking about.
100%. Oh man, we lit it up here. So Leslie says, if you're only talking, that is not communication. Listening has to be a big part of it. Maya says, yes, receiving is just as important, maybe more. I think it's
I would
100%
agree.
more
I
important.
agree.
It's the most important thing, and it's what we suck at most.
And you know why I know this, Jesse? I know this because one, people in this world have not been listened to. And this is how you know that is you go into a room that you would normally be the person doing most of the talking and don't. And guess what? They will still fill that space because they will be given the opportunity that they are able to talk and you are not filling it. And it's amazing if you just do this experiment and you're in it, you're going into a group where you know you probably do a lot of the talking. Don't. And see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And on that note, like back to kind of one of the earlier questions, where does that change happen? It happens within us. Just because I decided to make a change doesn't mean that everybody's ready for it.
Right.
Right. Like I was a dictator for a long time. And then when I started changing, people were like, what, whoa, what are you trying to do to me?
Yeah.
Because I had conditioned them to expect dictatorship. And like, if I've never been good at like listening and I start listening all of a sudden, it's going to be weird for them.
It is. And they're going to be like, what's wrong? What are you doing? Are you grabbing stuff so you can come back and get on to me later? Like they're going to start getting defensive because that's the environment you've created.
Correct. And I learned I need to give them a grace period to acclimate to the new situation.
Yes.
Like I don't get to say, well, I decided to change, so y'all just need to treat me differently. Like, no, I did a lot of damage.
Yeah.
There's a healing period that has to happen, which again, I think ties overall, right? Like if we got to make the rules, okay, yes, we're going to make the rules, but there's these other things that you need to expect as you start changing the situation that you're in.
And just a lot of people, the only interaction they have is not with us. Like we could do everything right. And we can put the culture in place, the behavior, the environment in place. We can give them the grace period. But guess what? They're going to leave us and go to another job. They're going to work for another manager. They're going to go home and maybe be dealing with some things there. And then they come back the next day and we're like, why haven't they changed? Why don't they get it? Why don't they? Like, we've got to understand that, yes, we've done these things, but we are not their only interaction.
Yes. Oh, I spent like in construction. I hear it all the time. You've probably heard it. Why don't these, like, I got to deal with these trades all the time. It's like, okay, if you're a forward-thinking, progressive construction management firm out there and you're doing things that treat people better, and you get a trade on your project and all of it, like they don't know how to behave, like it's new rules and it's clear. They're like, what the hell is this? It's because they're out there working with other dirtbag contractors that treat them like garbage. So there's trauma and baggage that they carry with them because of the overall environment that they're in. And that's true for everybody. You brought that up very well in the book, Lean in Love, like inside the gate and outside the gate. Like we go home and it's a different situation. So for some people, it's a miserable situation and work is an escape. Work is a reprieve. That's why they spend so much time at work, or vice versa, right? Like work sucks. They just want to get home. But then you get home and there's abnormal or maladjusted behavior. And we have to at least be aware of that, right? Like just people are human. So back to the listening, Kate says, leave some silence, even if it's uncomfortable. Yes. And then
that's my favorite.
Leslie says, silence is never a moment of nothing.
That's the quote right there. Like that's it. Leslie, you are so, and I know you lean into these uncomfortable, conflict resolution. Like I know you lean into that space, Leslie, and you do amazing. And like that statement is so true. Like it's even when it's like silent in their rooms going, what's next? There's something happening.
Yes, totally. So we got a couple of answers to the question of what keeps you from making the changes you want. Maya says fear of rejection. So I'm going to ask Maya, like, what happens if you get rejected? Right? Like play that out.
Mhm.
What actually happens? What's the loss if you get rejected? Steve Martin says firefighting and moving targets. Yes. And so I'm going to ask you, Steve, what's your target personally? Right?
Mhm.
Like, I get it, within the organization, they do these things, and it makes it funky and difficult and, ambiguous and ever changing, ever moving, um, which we have to expect. And also, to the rejection point, I expect rejection. Right?
People
Like,
have been around us enough that we already know that people are going to go, this is not for me.
yes. And that's okay. Let me understand what it is you don't like. And that triggers the listening part.
Mhm.
Right? Like, there's two big gigantic changes I've made in my life and my leadership style that I think, if with all the other books that I've read and all the other little things that I've done, really wouldn't mean anything if without these two. One was being vulnerable, sharing the dirty, and for clarity, sharing the dirty details of my reality with people, and listening. Those two things make a world of difference, because when I'm getting rejected, I spend time. That's a signal I need to
Yeah.
listen more, because I don't understand the person in front of me. You and I were talking about this. Yes, I could tell them the why. And you said it earlier, right? This is the why. Well, but you know what? When I flip the coin, I don't give a shit about your why, because you don't care about my why.
Mhm.
But if I listen and I understand other people's purpose and reasoning, I can adjust to better connect with them. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And so being able to listen, being vulnerable in sharing, like, hey, I don't really know what the hell we're doing. I don't know how we're going to get there, but
Yeah.
this is where I want to go. I don't have to have all the answers, right?
Mhm.
As in the leadership role, there was a period of time where I felt like I needed to have the answers. And even worse, if somebody else had the answer and they got credit for it, I'm going to lose. And which is still kind of true, but so what? We're going to get closer to where I want to go. Kind of back to the question I gave to Steve, is like, yes, there's moving targets, but what's my target?
Mhm.
When I got clear on that, then it's like, yeah, this stuff sucks. It's frustrating and irritating, but this is my target, and I'm going to keep going in that direction. What
And
do you think?
that's when it's easier for you to kind of kind of tune some of that stuff out, or even not put the effort into those things if it's not getting you where you want to go.
Yes. Now, I also want to put a plug out there. Well, actually, two plugs.
Okay.
One, if you want to build your listening skills, those
Yes.
listening muscles, if you want listening guns like this, you should sign up for Emotional Bungee Jumpers,
Yes.
because we are like, that is the thing that we're doing. Sign up. We meet on the fourth Friday of every month at 2 p.m. with some amazing people that are even on the call. And we're adding a second feature to the Emotional Bungee Jumpers experience, which is the cultivation crew.
Yes.
That's a little more like a roller coaster than emotional bungee jumping. It's a little
Yeah.
safer.
Yes.
And the first thing we're going to be diving into is facilitation for connection.
Which
Uh,
kind of plays into a lot of what we're talking about today.
yep. So those are the two things. Or that's one thing. The other thing, I'm going to post a link. The next No BS experience we're going to do it over Teams. And so if you want to be there, I'm going to post a link in the chat. Sign up, leave your email address. I'll send you a calendar invite, which means we're not going to be live streaming on the LinkedIn or the YouTube or whatever. We're going to have a Teams call, so we get to see you face to face and have better connection. So I'll
Still
figure
have a
out how to get.
topic and all that. It'll just be us having a bigger visual meeting than just you and I on the screen.
You got it, sister. What do you think about that, Jen?
Well, I'm excited. And like, let's not forget too, I know we don't have it so honed in, but we do have also reciprocal propulsion weekend in the
Oh,
next.
yeah. June 9th. I think the weekend of June 9th, we're going to be in San Diego. And so if you're interested in that, drop us a little rocket in the chat, so that we can get you the information for that bad boy, because that's a little retreat where we're going to be able to hang out and get super, super vulnerable, build some of those listening and connection skills in person with delicious food and beautiful, amazing events to connect.
Yes.
So Jen, can you carry us for a little bit while I figure out how to share these links?
Yes. So I mean, again, we've talked about a lot of things today, and I think a couple of things that have hit me that I kind of want to just recap that we've talked about and some points we've made. Number one is, and I want to reiterate because it's so important that Jesse said, Jesse mentioned it, and then I mentioned it, is exhibiting the behaviors we seek. And going into any situation, it doesn't matter your role. It doesn't matter if it's a room full of people, if it's your project team, if it's a daily meeting, a weekly meeting. Please think about going in and what you are asking of them, and do you exhibit those behaviors? So that's the big one, is because I want you to think about that, because I sometimes think we get caught up in what we're asking, and yet our behavior and what they're looking at is not what we're asking them to do. And it's almost like, don't do as I say, or don't do as I do, do as I say. Like we need to get out of that mentality. Like if we are asking people to, be vulnerable, we're asking people to share, we're asking people to, be willing to experiment with some things, then we've got to exhibit that we are willing to do those things too. So that's one big one. The other one is, and we've talked about this a lot, on different people that show up in different places. And a lot of them have a lot of other things going on in their head, and they've, maybe trauma or some things like that. Like, give people grace. And that doesn't mean give them a pass to where they can just do whatever, and they can cause conflict, and they can cause damage, and they can be toxic. They can be toxic. That's not what I'm saying. Because we have got to make sure we put those things in check, because those things can then fester and they can spread, and then your credibility, all those other things come into play. But we also need to be aware, pay attention, close our mouth and pay attention to what's going on around us, and listen and watch and see how people are, because I hang out with Jesse a lot, and he knows how I show up, and he knows exactly the way that I do things. And when he sees that I am not showing up the same way, the first thing he does is check, what's going on? And it could be nothing, but it usually is something. And not everybody will notice those things. So look at the people around you, pay attention to what's going on, ask the question. It could be nothing, but it could also be you're opening up an opportunity for someone to know that you see them, that they matter, and that you care about them. And that starts, again, with grace. We've got to be able to give people grace to know that there's a lot of things going on that we're not aware of. So those are my two big things, Jesse.
Oh, well done, Jennifer. Perfectly timed. So I dumped two links in the chats on all the stuff. One is for our next session, which is 2 weeks out. We won't be, for clarity, we're not going to be live streaming on LinkedIn or YouTube. It's going to be a Teams meeting. So click the link, register, put your information in there so I can send you the calendar invite. We'll be communicating that between now and then. And really, honestly, like full confession, that's so that we get to see your face and actually hear each other's voices. Yes. and like cultivate that connection. Because I don't know if I say it enough, or maybe I wish I could show it more, but I appreciate the hell out of the community. Yes. Like the No BS Tribe, man, it gives me something to look forward to, and make me feel like I'm doing good things. Yes. And it's important to me that that's happening. The other link I posted is to the after party. Yes. Which will be happening here at 9:20.
Well, Jesse, what is that? Because we have some blue hearts today of people that have never been on. So what is that?
Thank you for that. So the after party is our way to, again, build more connection with folks. So first, thank you for gifting us with your time of being on this live stream for over an hour. Mm-hmm. The after party is so that Jen and I have been here talking and flapping our gums for a damn hour already, and we really want to know what you think. Mm-hmm. And so the after party is going to be on the LinkedIn, the audio thing.
Only audio. It's
all audio. Yeah, it's all audio, which means I get to put on my fishnet hoodie and nobody judge me. It's all audio. So we're not gonna see you or your background or whatever. But it's really so we can hear your voice, so the tribe can become more connected. And every time we have the after party, that conversation informs the next live stream. Like, folks, that's our process. We have this talk. Y'all bring all the value, the thoughts, the wisdom, the questions into the chat. Then we have the after party, and whatever is like cooking in that conversation is what informs the next live stream. And so we're kind of dependent on you. Well, did I say it right, Jen?
No, absolutely, 100%. And it's just where we know that people get off this call. We know we do, and it's like, oh my gosh, like I have all these things swimming in my head. This is a way for you to come in and like continue kind of where your thoughts are with a group of people that are probably in the same space you are.
100. Oh, yes. Like-minded people. And so look, Leslie's got to go. Thank you, Leslie. Happy Saturday. She's got to go. Mr. Chris, thank you, my friend, for bringing and adding so much value today. He says, thank you again for the stuff. Steve Martin says, yeah, Teams event. So that'll be fun. We'll be able to like put names to faces and voices and all that other stuff. Sarah says, oh my God, I can't wait to take y'all to Hawaii with me. Did I read that right?
Yeah, close enough.
So, oh, look, here's Mr. Jim says, I missed y'all this morning, but you came in. You're here and you're welcome to join the after party, Jen. I'm sorry, Jim. And Aaron. So you got outvoted, Jen. Everybody said Jennifer needs to be on. So he's sending you an invitation to your invite.
I will check it out.
And there's a couple other things in here that another resource that Milo shared. Pat Lencioni seems to be very popular at the moment in terms of author or production company, because that's really what it is. Broadly about healthy conflict in the 5 dysfunctions of a team. Jen, do you and I have healthy conflict?
We have lots of healthy conflict. I think that is, I'm going to say, people are not going to believe this, but I think that's what makes us work, is that our perspectives and our backgrounds and our thoughts are coming from very different places. There are a lot of things we're aligned on, but there are a lot of things that, based on our backgrounds, that is not the same place. One being, I have a family and I have a company with a role, and I have things that are very much obligations and responsibilities for me. You do not have a lot of those. And so there are a lot of things that we're doing that we have to like kind of ebb and flow and understand, taking this, letting go of this, owning this. Like there's a lot of that. And sometimes it's having some hard conversations on what's going to work, what's not. I see this. And if we did not have that, we would not be where we are today, for sure.
Agreed, 100%. And you just got to embrace it, right? Like, I think I appreciate you for being open to it and recognizing that the purpose is to figure out how to better serve, not a judgment against you personally.
Yes.
Right. And I think, again, kind of back to the middle of the conversation, where does change start? It starts with me, right? Like rejection. Yes, it's going to happen. It's not a judgment against me. It's a statement of where the person currently is. It's a little shift, but huge. And what that means is I don't take it into heart and then harbor ill feelings towards the person. I expect them to say, wait a minute, I'm not there yet.
Or this is not important to me, or this is not as important to me as it is to you. Like that's a big statement.
100%. And it's a powerful statement, like a valuable, valid statement. This is not important to me. Okay. And it still needs to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Now we need to have a conversation.
Right.
Editing, grammar is not important to me. And Jen said, and it still needs to happen. Shit. Okay. How do we get there so that we can deliver this thing that we both have to offer to the world?
Yes.
So Kate Phillips says, I'm coming to the after party, but probably won't be talking because that would require I leave bed. Yeah, you don't need to leave bed, girl. You just
you can still talk. You don't even have, you can be laying down. You don't even have to get up.
Yeah. And you can just listen because some people
Yes.
do that.
Yes.
All right, Jen, closing thought.
Oh my gosh, this conversation was all over the place. I just want to thank everybody that contributed today, because that is the power of our live streams. Jesse and I show up, but like the power is what you bring. And so I
Yes.
just want to thank all of you that contributed this morning. We'll probably go back through and look at all the comments and things. And again, I'm just going to reiterate, like, let's make sure that we are talking less, listening more. And in every space we walk into, let's make sure that we understand we are dealing with other human beings, and make sure we are giving some grace in some of those spaces.
Ah, beautiful. Very well said, Jen. And I'm going to close by saying, like, we started the conversation was how to create the ideal conditions for your team to thrive. And I think the core elements are, where does the change start?
Mm-hmm.
What is your target? And listen, right? Like, if you do those things, figure those things out, you can make some gigantic and dramatic change. And then lastly, Onel asks, when is the after party? It's in 5 minutes. So,
and the link, I think Sarah's even trying to tell him just in the link of where he could find how to get there.
yes. So it starts here in 5 minutes, 9:20. Oh, he's Eastern time. So 10:20 your time. We'll go live and we'll be able to talk and hear and introduce each other and all that amazing stuff. And like Aaron says, same no BS time, same no BS channel. We'll see y'all next time. Y'all be cool.